If your blood sugar has been drifting higher, your energy has been getting lower, and you feel like nobody is giving you practical answers, this matters more than you think. For many senior men, blood sugar doesn't just affect lab numbers. It affects your belly fat, your sleep, your strength, your mood, your memory, and even how steady you feel on your feet. And today, I want to talk to you about one simple plant that has been getting a lot of attention for a reason: Moringa. Not as a miracle, not as a cure, but as a useful, evidence-informed tool that may help support healthier blood sugar when you use it the right way. Before I go any further, I want to ask you something. Have you ever tried Moringa before? Or is this the first time you're seriously hearing about it? And what has been the hardest part of blood sugar control for you lately? Cravings? Belly weight? Low energy? Poor sleep? Or numbers that jump after meals? Tell me in the comments below, because I really do want to know what you're dealing with. Now, when I say moringa, I'm talking about moringa leaf, usually as a powder, tea, capsule, or cooked leaf. I am not talking about the root or bark. And I want to be very clear with you from the start. If you take insulin or diabetes medication, you should not stop, reduce, or change anything just because you add moringa. Blood sugar that goes too high is dangerous, but blood sugar that drops too low can also be dangerous, especially in older adults. So I want you to think of moringa as one part of a bigger plan, not a replacement for medical care. The first way moringa may help regulate blood sugar is by slowing down how quickly carbohydrates hit your bloodstream after a meal. This is one of the biggest problems I see in older men. You eat what seems like a normal breakfast or dinner, but the blood sugar spike afterward is much higher than you expect. Moringa leaves contain fiber, and that fiber can help slow digestion just enough to make the rise in blood sugar more gradual instead of sharp and sudden. That matters because those repeated spikes are exhausting for your body. They can leave you feeling sleepy after meals, hungry again too soon, and frustrated when your glucose readings bounce around. If you add a small amount of moringa leaf powder to a meal that already has protein and healthy fat, you may get a steadier response than if you eat the same carbs by themselves. I'm not saying moringa cancels out a high-sugar meal. It does not. But I am saying it may help take the edge off those after-meal surges when it's used wisely. The second way moringa may help is by supporting insulin sensitivity. Let me say that in plain English. Insulin is the hormone that helps move sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells, where it can be used for energy. As men get older, especially if there is more belly fat and less muscle, the body often stops responding to insulin as efficiently. That is insulin resistance. Some of the natural plant compounds in moringa, including polyphenols and isothiocyanates, have shown promising effects in early research related to how the body handles glucose. In simple terms, moringa may help your body respond to insulin a little better. That does not mean the effect is huge. It usually isn't. But with blood sugar, small improvements repeated every day can add up. If your body becomes even a bit more efficient at using insulin, your numbers can become more stable, your cravings can settle down, and your energy can feel more even instead of swinging up and down all day. The third way moringa may help is by reducing oxidative stress. And this is especially important for senior men. Oxidative stress is the wear and tear that builds up in the body over time, and high blood sugar tends to make that worse. Think of it like internal rust. The more that rust builds up, the harder it becomes for the body to manage inflammation, protect blood vessels, and keep insulin signaling working smoothly. Moringa leaves are rich in antioxidant compounds, and while I never want to oversell this, I do want to respect it. Antioxidants matter because blood sugar problems are not only about sugar. They are also about how much stress your cells are under every single day. When you reduce that internal burden, even a little, the whole metabolic system may function better. That means blood sugar control becomes less of a daily battle and more of a steady process. The fourth way moringa may support blood sugar is by helping calm low-grade inflammation. A lot of men think inflammation only means swollen joints or an obvious injury, but that is not the full story. There is also a quieter kind of chronic inflammation that often comes with aging: extra abdominal fat, poor sleep, stress, inactivity, and processed foods. That low-grade inflammation can make insulin resistance worse. It can also make you feel older than you are. Some of the compounds in moringa appear to have anti-inflammatory effects, and that matters because inflammation and blood sugar problems tend to feed each other. The more inflamed the body becomes, the more difficult glucose control can be. And the worse glucose control becomes, the more inflammation the body often generates. I like moringa because when it's used as part of a healthy routine, it may help interrupt that cycle. Not dramatically overnight, but steadily. And steady is what works. The fifth way moringa may help is by supporting the liver, which is a bigger part of blood sugar regulation than most people realize. Your liver is not just sitting there doing one job. It stores sugar, releases sugar, processes fats, and helps decide how much glucose is circulating between meals and overnight. In many men with insulin resistance, the liver starts releasing too much glucose, even when it doesn't need to. That is one reason fasting blood sugar can run high. Some early research suggests compounds in moringa may support healthier liver metabolism and may help reduce some of the processes that contribute to excessive glucose production. I want to be careful here because this is still an area where more human data would be helpful. But the logic is solid, and the early signals are encouraging. If your morning numbers are the ones that keep bothering you, liver function is part of the conversation, and moringa may offer modest support there. The sixth way moringa may help regulate blood sugar is by making it easier to control appetite and cravings. This one is more practical than glamorous, but for real life, it matters a lot. Many senior men are not overeating because they lack discipline. They are overeating because their meals are not satisfying enough. Their blood sugar is swinging too much, or they are eating out of habit, boredom, or fatigue. Moringa is not an appetite suppressant in the drug sense, but because it adds fiber and nutrient density to a meal, it may help you feel more satisfied. And when you feel more satisfied, you are less likely to start hunting for cookies, crackers, chips, or dessert 2 hours later. That is where real blood sugar damage often happens, not only at main meals, but in the random snacking that follows unstable meals. Sometimes the benefit of moringa is not just what it adds, it's what it helps you avoid. If adding moringa to eggs, soup, yogurt, or a smoothie helps you stay full longer and skip the sugary snack, that is a real blood sugar win. The seventh way moringa may help is through its impact on the gut. I think this is one of the most overlooked parts of metabolism. Your gut is not just where food goes. It is a control center that affects inflammation, appetite signals, digestion speed, and even how your body responds to glucose. The fiber and plant compounds in moringa may support a healthier gut environment, and when the gut is in better shape, blood sugar often becomes easier to manage. Now, I don't want to pretend that one green powder rebuilds your gut overnight. It doesn't. But if you consistently feed your system fiber-rich, plant-based compounds instead of refined junk, your gut bacteria can shift in a healthier direction over time. And that can influence everything from cravings to inflammation to after-meal glucose levels. If your digestion is sensitive, I would start small, because too much too fast can cause bloating or stomach discomfort. Slow and steady is the better approach. The eighth way moringa may support blood sugar is by providing important nutrients that many older men simply don't get enough of. As we age, it becomes easier to undereat the foods that protect us and overeat the foods that work against us. Moringa leaves provide a compact dose of nutrients, including minerals like magnesium and potassium, along with small amounts of protein and other plant compounds. Magnesium, in particular, plays a role in insulin function and glucose metabolism. That doesn't mean moringa is a magic magnesium pill. It means it can contribute to a more nutrient-dense diet, and nutrient density matters. When your cells have better raw materials to work with, your metabolic health tends to work better too. I often tell men this: your body cannot run a clean program on low-quality fuel. Moringa is not the whole answer, but it can be a useful piece of higher-quality fuel. The ninth way moringa may help regulate blood sugar is by supporting healthier weight management, especially around the waist. And I know that can be a sensitive subject, so let me say this respectfully. For many men, the issue is not vanity. The issue is metabolic pressure. Extra abdominal fat is strongly linked with insulin resistance. It pushes the body toward higher fasting glucose, bigger post-meal spikes, higher triglycerides, and more inflammation. Moringa is not a fat-burning shortcut, but because it may help with satiety, meal quality, inflammation, and insulin response, It can become one of the tools that helps a man gradually bring his weight under better control. And even modest weight loss, especially around the belly, can significantly improve blood sugar. I've seen men become discouraged because they think they need dramatic transformation. You don't. Sometimes losing a small amount of abdominal weight, walking after meals, and improving meal composition makes a bigger difference than chasing extreme diets. Moringa fits best in that steady, sustainable approach. The 10th way Moringa may help is by supporting cholesterol and triglyceride balance, which matters because blood sugar problems rarely travel alone. If you are a senior man dealing with elevated glucose, there is a good chance you are also thinking about blood pressure, triglycerides, HDL, LDL, or fatty liver. These issues are connected. When metabolic health improves in one area, it often helps the others. Some studies suggest Moringa may have beneficial effects on blood lipids, and while I would never promise a dramatic change, this matters because better triglyceride control often goes hand in hand with better insulin sensitivity and more stable glucose. I want you to see the bigger picture here. You are not trying to improve one isolated number. You are trying to reduce the whole metabolic burden on your body. Moringa may help with that broader picture, and that is one reason it has become so popular in nutrition conversations. The 11th way Moringa helps, and this is a very real one, is that it can crowd out worse choices. Sometimes people focus only on the chemistry of a food and ignore the behavior around it. But behavior is where health actually changes. If you start using Moringa in a daily routine, maybe in a protein smoothie with no added sugar, maybe stirred into soup, maybe added to beans, lentils, or eggs, you are often replacing something less helpful. You're replacing a sugary breakfast drink. You're replacing a refined snack. You're replacing the mindset of, I'll just grab whatever is easy. That matters more than many people realize. I have seen the biggest improvements happen when men stop asking, is this one superfood powerful enough? And start asking, does this choice move my day in a better direction? Moringa can absolutely do that. It can become a small anchor habit that pulls several other healthier habits into place. The 12th way Moringa may help regulate blood sugar is by supporting muscle-friendly eating patterns, and this is especially important as you get older. Muscle is one of the best places for your body to put glucose. The more healthy muscle you maintain, the better your body tends to handle carbohydrates. The problem is that many men lose muscle gradually with age, especially if they are less active or not eating enough protein. Moringa is not a high-protein supplement by itself, but it can fit well into meals that are built around protein, fiber, and balanced carbohydrates. In other words, it may not directly build muscle for you, but it can support the kind of meal pattern that protects muscle and improves glucose handling. When you combine that with light strength work, walking, and regular protein intake, blood sugar often becomes much more manageable. That is one reason I like talking about Moringa with older men. It works best when it is part of a lifestyle that protects strength, not just a strategy that chases lower numbers. Now let me pause and be absolutely honest with you, because I think you deserve that. The evidence on Moringa is promising, but it is not perfect. Human studies are still smaller than I would like, and the results are usually modest, not miraculous. So if anyone tells you Moringa cures diabetes or lets you eat whatever you want, I want you to walk away from that message immediately. That is not responsible, and it is not true. What I can say is this: Moringa has enough nutritional value and enough early research behind it to deserve a place in the conversation, especially for people who want supportive, food-based strategies in addition to standard care. I respect it, but I do not worship it. That is the balanced way to think about it. If you decide to try it, I want you to do it intelligently. Start with a small amount of a reputable food-grade Moringa leaf product, not the root or bark. Many people begin with a small serving mixed into food rather than taking a large amount on an empty stomach. I usually prefer that approach because it is gentler on digestion and more relevant to blood sugar control. Watch how your body responds. If you check your glucose at home, pay attention to what happens before and after meals over the next week or two. That way, you are not guessing, you are observing. And if you are on insulin, sulfonylureas, or any medication that can lower blood sugar, this matters even more, because adding moringa on top of medication may increase the chance of glucose going too low in some people. If you feel shaky, sweaty, unusually weak, confused, or lightheaded, that is not something to ignore. I also want to mention a few people who need to be especially careful. If you have kidney disease, liver disease, planned surgery, or a complicated medication routine, talk with your clinician or pharmacist before adding a supplement. Quality matters too. Not every powder or capsule is made well, and contamination is always a concern when products are poorly sourced. I would rather see you use a small amount of a reliable product than a giant tub of something cheap and questionable. More is not automatically better. Better is better. And let me give you one practical way to think about moringa so it doesn't become overwhelming. Don't ask it to do everything. Ask it to do one useful thing well. Maybe for you, that means helping reduce your breakfast spike. Maybe it means helping you stay full until lunch. Maybe it means replacing a sweetened drink in the afternoon. Maybe it means becoming part of a routine that reminds you to eat in a more intentional way. Those are realistic goals. And realistic goals are the ones that actually change health. If I were talking to you one-on-one, man-to-man, I would say this. Your blood sugar is not a character flaw. It is not proof that you failed. It is feedback from your body. And your body often responds better to steady support than to punishment. You do not need another cycle of fear, guilt, and all-or-nothing promises. You need a plan you can actually live with. Moringa can be part of that plan if you use it as a support tool alongside balanced meals, regular movement, good sleep, stress control, hydration, and the treatment plan your healthcare team has already put in place. So when you hear the title, 12 Ways Moringa Helps Regulate Blood Sugar in Senior Men, I want you to remember the real message underneath it. Moringa may help by slowing carbohydrate absorption, supporting insulin sensitivity, reducing oxidative stress, calming inflammation, helping the liver manage glucose more effectively, improving satiety, supporting the gut, contributing helpful nutrients, assisting with weight control, supporting healthier blood lipids, crowding out worse food choices, and fitting into muscle-friendly meal patterns. That is a strong list. Not because moringa is magic, but because metabolic health is built through many small mechanisms working together. If this gave you clarity, go down to the comments and tell me which of these 12 points hit home the most for you. And if you've already tried moringa, I'd love to know how you used it and what you noticed. I truly hope this helps you make calmer, smarter, more confident choices for your health, because better blood sugar is not just about living longer. It's about living steadier, stronger, and with more freedom in the years ahead.